A graph that you're going to have to be able to read and also answer questions on is called a solubility graph. Now, before we actually go into the questions, I want to talk about what the setup of the graph is. So on your x-axis you have temperature, so you have a bunch of different temperatures going on. On the y-axis you have grams of solute per 100 grams of water. So this is saying how many grams can dissolve in 100 grams of water. Then you have a bunch of lines. These bunches of lines are your different chemicals that are showing you how much can dissolve at a certain temperature. So the lines are your saturated solutions. Anything below is unsaturated. Anything above that line is supersaturated for that chemical. So let's answer a couple questions. Which salt is least soluble in water at 20 degrees Celsius? So which one is least soluble means you're going to go to the one that is the furthest down. So in this example, this is KClO3 because at 20 degrees Celsius it's the lowest. Okay. Number 2, how many grams of potassium chloride, so potassium chloride is KCl, can be dissolved in 200 grams of water? That's going to be important in just a second. At 80 degrees Celsius. So you're going to find 80 degrees Celsius and you're going to go up to KCl, which is right here. Okay, and then you go over. So at 80 degrees Celsius, this graph is telling you that you will be able to dissolve 50 grams per 100 grams of water. So the question's asking how much can dissolve in 200 grams of water. So if you're able to dissolve 50 grams in 100, so then you just simply need to do 50 times 2 equals 100 grams. So the key here is why did I multiply it by 2? And that's because this is out of 100 grams and I need to know how many there are out of 200. So I simply multiply it by 2, so you get 100 grams. Okay, so another example. At 40 degrees Celsius, how much potassium nitrate can be dissolved in 300 grams of water? So the same thing, you're going to go to 40 degrees Celsius, go up to potassium nitrate, which is KNO3, which is here, and go over. Okay, so I'm going to say that's roughly 42. So this graph is telling you at 40 degrees Celsius it will dissolve roughly 42 grams per 100 grams of water. So this time it's out of 300 grams, so you're simply going to do times 3. So 42 times 3 is 126 grams. Okay, again, I multiply by 3 because of that ratio. Okay, number 4. Which salt shows the least change in solubility from 0 degrees Celsius to 100 degrees Celsius? So least change means it's going to, the starting point here, let's say this one here, Ki, the starting point here is going to be the least difference between your starting point and your ending point. So therefore it should be somewhat of a flat line. So NaCl, if you look, is right here. So it barely goes up at all. It's roughly, what, 38 and it becomes 40. So it roughly stays about the same. Now you got to be careful of this because on the test I'm going to show you there's going to be a line that's going to go almost straight across and then quickly go up. So you've got to look at the starting point and ending point. Don't just look for a flat straight line because it might trick you up later. So in this case, this graph is telling you NaCl. Okay, now number 5, a little bit of background information before you do this one, and this one you're going to be asked about, so please make sure you understand this one. So the thing to know is what I said earlier, is that the lines represent saturated. Anything above the line, any point above that line means it is supersaturated. Anything on the line means it's saturated. Anything below or under is unsaturated. Okay, this is going to be the key to solving this problem. So you're simply going to compare your dot to the line that's already on the paper. So for this one, you're going to find your line first. So this is dealing with sodium nitrate. So sodium nitrate is NaNO3. So you find NaNO3, which is that line there. And then you're going to find the point. So in this case, you got 30 degrees Celsius and 90 grams. So 30 degrees, 90 grams is about there. Now it's almost on the line, but not quite. So it's under the line. So since it's under the line, it is unsaturated. Again, the key is knowing this right here. Okay, a few more questions. A saturated solution of potassium chlorate is formed from 100 grams of water. If the saturated solution is cooled from 80 degrees Celsius to 50 degrees Celsius, how many grams of precipitate are formed? So you simply need to find how many grams at 80 degrees Celsius can be dissolved in potassium chlorate. So you're going to find potassium chlorate, which is KCl3. So potassium chlorate is this line here. And you're going to plot the points it's dealing with. So 80 degrees Celsius is there. And if you go over, at 80 degrees Celsius, it can dissolve 40 grams. Then you're going to find out how much it can dissolve at 50 degrees Celsius. So 50 degrees Celsius, you go up and over. And so at 50 degrees Celsius, it can only dissolve 20. So what happened? If you started off with 40 grams in there, it's not like the 40 grams disappears. So you need to figure out what happens between this point and this point. So as it cools, whatever the difference is between these two numbers, that's how much will go to the bottom of the glass. So you're simply going to do 40 minus 20, which gives you 20 grams. Again, you simply find the difference between the two amounts. 7. What compound shows a decrease in solubility from 0 degrees Celsius to 100? So as you go up, typically your solubility increases, but there's one in particular that does not do that, and that is this one right here. As temperature goes up, your solubility is going down. That means there's a decrease in solubility, so your answer is NH3. Okay, and then 8 through 10 is similar to question number 1. So which salt is most soluble at 10 degrees Celsius? So most soluble means you're looking for the one that's the highest up. So at 10 degrees Celsius, you go up, and your answer is potassium iodide. Okay, number 9 is talking about least soluble again. So remember, least means the lowest. So 10 degrees Celsius, you go up, and at 10 degrees Celsius, the least amount, again, is KCl3, just like it was in number 1. Now the question is, what happens at 100 degrees Celsius? Is it still the same thing? So you're going to go to 100 degrees Celsius, and if you look, you hit a line that's lower than the KCl03, because as KCl03 goes up, it's increasing. And we have this one going down. So the least at 100 degrees Celsius switches to NH3. Now to backtrack, you've got to be able to read the solubility of the lines. You've got to be able to tell me temperatures and solubilities based on the graphs, and you also have to be able to tell me whether something is supersaturated, saturated, or unsaturated simply by me giving you a problem.